Hello and welcome to the 2020 Farmers Weekly Awards. I'm Carl Schneider, the editor of Farmers Weekly, and I'm speaking to you from the Cotswold Farm Park in Gloucestershire, the home of my co-host Adam Henson.
This year's Farmers Weekly Awards are like no other. Thanks to COVID-19, we're denied the glamorous surroundings of the great room in London's Grosvenor House Hotel. Instead, this year, we're bringing you a digital awards show that aims to be much more than an online imitation of the usual awards ceremony. Over the next 5 evenings, you'll hear from people at the heart of some of the stories that have been covered in Farmers Weekly in 2020. There'll be some surprise guests along the way, and of course you'll hear about our finalists, learn who our winners are, and discover who will be crowned 2020 Farmer of the Year.
Now, the purpose of the Farmers Weekly Awards is simple. It's to recognise and celebrate the achievements of the very best of British farming. And if there's ever been a year when the great work of British farmers should be celebrated, it's 2020. The COVID crisis has shown British farming at its very best and reminded the whole country of the role that farmers play in keeping the shelves stocked and food on our tables. At the heart of the awards is the rigorous judging process in which every finalist is visited by a panel of 3 judges to grill each shortlisted farmer and see for themselves what they've achieved on their farm. I'm pleased to say that despite all the restrictions, we've not lost this essential part of the awards this year. Our judges have moved heaven and earth to overcome the obstacles and maintain our high judging standards, using video technology in some cases where we couldn't get all 3 judges onto the farm at the same time. So I want to thank all of our judges for their hard work and dogged determination to get the job done. I also want to say a huge thank you to our sponsors. These awards just wouldn't be possible without their support. And this year they've worked really closely with us to bring you what I think will be a unique experience. And finally, I want to thank everyone who entered the awards this year. Now, there can only be one winner in each category, but the sheer quality of the entries is a tribute to the passion, the innovation and the sheer hard work that makes British farming what it is. So sit back, relax and enjoy the show. To kick off episode 1 of our show, I'm going to hand over to the Secretary of State for the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, the Right Honourable George Eustice.
Hello and welcome to this year's Farmers Weekly Awards. I very much look forward to the time when we'll all be able to meet properly again, enjoy good food before such presentations. But for now, we have to settle for video messages and Zoom presentations. The last 12 months has been an extraordinary time as we battled with this difficult coronavirus pandemic. The food industry has really stepped up to deliver the food that the country needs, particularly during that panic buying episode back in March and April last year. And I'd like to thank all of those working in the food supply chain, from farmers through to manufacturers, distributors and retailers, for the role that they have played in these difficult times. If something good were to come out of this appalling situation, I hope it is that society will place greater value on those who produce the food for our tables, and also that as a country we will understand better that domestic food production is a critical component of our food security. 2020 is also an important year for other reasons. The transition period ended last month in December. We are now fully outside the European Union with a free trade agreement giving us tariff-free access to the EU market for our goods, but crucially able to make our own laws again with complete regulatory freedom and with the ability to chart a different course for agriculture policy. We've set out some of our initial thinking about the direction we want to take those policies, but in particular, the government is very clear that with these newfound freedoms, we want the UK to become the centre of excellence in science and technology. And in agriculture, we have some of the leading academic institutes in the world that deal with agricultural research and technology. We want to build on that so that we do become a world leader. And that is why recently we consulted, for instance, on gene editing and changing the regulatory regime around that so that we can be more open to new technologies that could lead us to breed plants with greater resistance and breed plants that are more drought resistant for future. It is also why in our agriculture policy we've set out the idea of research and development syndicates, where groups of farmers can come together and work together to tackle the agronomic challenges of their sector, and including supporting more near market research such as plant breeding, which all too often has been excluded in the past. And finally, it's the reason why we want to support new entrants into the industry. And while in the months ahead we'll be setting out more details about how we can bring new entrants to the sector, creating new opportunities for the 30-something farmers who want to return to the industry or maybe want to set up on their own, so that we can enable them to do so. Because I think that new entrants are the lifeblood of any sector, and agriculture is no exception. To conclude, it's great that you're still having this event to celebrate and mark the great achievements of this sector, and to recognise and celebrate the great talents that we have in the British farming industry. I'd like to congratulate all of the award winners tonight, and also all of those of you who participated in this very important event. Thank you.
Good luck to everyone who's been nominated for this year's Farmers Weekly Awards.
Congratulations for being a finalist at the Farmers Weekly Awards. And good luck.
Congratulations for A, getting this far, and B, making something really positive out of such an interesting year. And good luck.
A real congratulations to all the finalists of this year's Farmers Weekly Award. You are all going to be extremely important to our industry in the near future.
A massive congratulations for getting into the final, and wish you all the best in all of your categories. We are all rooting for you from our homes.
Good luck to all the Farmers Weekly finalists.
I just want to wish all the finalists the very best of luck.
I just want to wish all nominees for the Farmers Weekly Awards of 2020 the very, very best of luck.
We're starting proceedings with a very special award. Our Lifetime Achievement Award is made only once each year, and it goes to someone who has made a unique and special contribution to agriculture. For many decades, over half a century in fact, this year's winner has been an advocate for British farming, raising awareness of the issues affecting it and championing its successes. It's exactly 10 years since he launched the charity, the Prince's Countryside Fund, a fantastic initiative improving the prospects of family farm businesses and the quality of rural life. Whether it's been hands-on at the Duchy of Cornwall estate, making time on the front line with the farmers facing hardships, or supporting great organisations such as the Rare Breed Survival Trust, he has always gone the extra mile for agriculture, the environment and our countryside communities. The recipient of this year's Lifetime Achievement Award is, of course, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. We're now going to hear directly from our winner.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you how surprised and touched I am to be receiving this award, but very sad that current circumstances prevent this happening in person. The award means a great deal to me, and I'm enormously grateful to Adam for these embarrassingly kind words about my rather inadequate efforts over the years. Now, it's encouraging to think that I might have made a difference to some of the issues that I mind about, but the point I really want to make is that I have not done any of these things alone. Whenever something has been achieved, it is because I've tried to bring people together to recognise the case for action, and then everyone has worked hard to make things happen. So in accepting this award, I want to acknowledge above all the people who cared as much as I did about the same issues. I cannot possibly name them all, but they know who they are, and I hope they are as proud as I am of what we have achieved together. Now, I'm sure some people will be wondering if there is any underlying principle in what I've been trying to achieve, or to put it another way, was there any method in my madness? Well, yes, there was, and indeed there still is. I happen to care passionately about trying to help the cause of sustainable farming, wherever and however it is practiced. To me, that means farming that respects balance and natural limits, understands the importance of diversity, and helps farmers and rural communities to thrive through producing healthy, nutritious food while maintaining and enhancing the distinctive landscapes that make this country so special. From my own experience, I have particular admiration and affinity for those farming families who know their own land intimately and understand how to manage their crops and livestock from season to season in a way that is firmly rooted in experience, locally appropriate, and to my mind, largely irreplaceable. Specialist food producers occupy a similarly important place in the community, particularly in the face of a sometimes overwhelming fashionable drive for homogenization. That is why, as patron of the Specialist Cheesemakers Association, for instance, I found myself all those years ago battling to help a whole new generation of determinedly courageous artisan cheesemakers overcome some of the early obstacles they encountered. Despite occasional suggestions to the contrary, I am not against progress, and I welcome new ideas and new technology, provided that they are used thoughtfully and appropriately as tools to achieve an aim, rather than as something to displace or subjugate the natural processes that should sit at the heart of agricultural practice. I also happen to believe that there are dangers in behaving as though we are the first generation to try and make a living from the land, with careless denigration of the hard-earned wisdom of our forefathers and disregard for the precautionary principle and the lessons of history. When I became patron of the organisation now known as Garden Organic, I found that they shared my concern that our precious legacy of heritage varieties of vegetables and fruit was being rashly discarded in favour of a dangerously reduced number of commercial ones. With the Rare Breed Survival Trust, we fought a comparable battle to prevent the extinction of what is left of our unique native breeds. In the same way that heritage seeds now form a precious living gene bank for crops, the remaining rare breeds have at last been recognised as a remarkably effective means of reducing inputs and returning vitality to our soils. The proof is in the numbers. I'm told that there are now 30,000 herds and flocks of native breeds in the United Kingdom, contributing more than £700 million to local economies. A somewhat similar situation arose in 1990 when I persuaded the Duchy of Cornwall to help rescue Brogdale Farm in Kent, the home of the National Fruit Collections, which included over 4,000 varieties of fruit, but most notably over 2,400 varieties of apples from an uncertain future. This precious cornucopia of genetic diversity is also now safe in the form of the National Fruit Collections Trust. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we look to the future, I firmly believe that the most constructive and profitable path for agriculture in this country will be through telling a unique story of high standards of environmental sensitivity, animal welfare and food quality, while stressing local provenance, native breeds and sustainable management. To me, this niche approach plays to our undoubted strengths as an island nation, as opposed to struggling to compete in global commodity markets. Back in 1990, I managed somehow to establish what turned out to be one of the earliest organic food brands, Dutch Originals, which I hoped at the time would benefit the environment, family farmers, and raise some money for my charitable fund. Over the last 31 years, and through the partnership with Waitrose for these past 10 years, sales of Dutch Originals products have now raised over £24 million for charity, including the Prince's Countryside Fund, which has helped to support farming families and rural communities, giving grants to over 400 organisations from Caithness to Cornwall, and commissioned much needed research enabling informed decision making. The farmers' marketing initiatives I helped to establish in the North Highlands of Scotland, the Cambrian Mountains in Wales, on Dartmoor, and for a short time in the Peak District of Staffordshire, were part of an attempt to show how marketing cooperatives based on provenance and high-quality agricultural products could benefit clusters of farmers in less favoured areas. With the enthusiastic involvement of a number of celebrity chefs and food specialists, I also tried to help sheep farmers obtain a better price for their cull ewes through my Mutton Renaissance campaign. And with the assistance of another group of people from the textile, processing and fashion sectors, we have done our best over the past 11 years to help raise awareness of wool as one of the most sustainable and eco-friendly natural materials on this planet through my wool campaign. Well, I mean, the extent to which any of this has made a difference is not for me to say, but I really am most grateful for this award. It reminds me, I suppose, that at the end of the day, agriculture should be, as George Washington said, the most healthful, most useful, and most noble employment of man.
Stay tuned as we have 3 categories still to be announced: Ag Student of the Year, Arable Advisor of the Year, and Arable Farmer of the Year.
Our next award is for Agricultural Student of the Year, sponsored by Heck Food. Our first finalist is from Howe Capel in Hereford, Herefordshire, and it's Emily Jones. An infectious enthusiasm for the industry shines through in everything this Harper Adams graduate does. Emily wants to learn and lead and achieve, and her agribusiness course inspired her mission to help improve farm safety. From Whitley Wood in Reading, Berkshire, we have Rosa Linkins. A new entrant, Rosa abandoned her teaching course to study agriculture at Harper Adams and do what she really loved. She's passionate about the farm staff retention, educating both consumers and farmers, and is currently developing a sustainable protein product. And finally, from East Stratton in Winchester, Hampshire, is Grace Welling. Completing our trio of Harper Adams graduates is science-mad Grace. She didn't grow up on a farm, but that didn't stop her setting her sights on a degree in agriculture with crop management in pursuit of her dream career in grass seed agronomy. 3 great finalists, and we now hand over to Ruby Parkin of Heck Foods to tell us who our winner is.
From Heck, and I'm so happy to announce that the winner for Ag Student of the Year is Grace Welling. Woo! Go Grace!
Well done, Grace Welling. The Harper Adams graduate wowed the judges with her determined focus on becoming an independent herbage advisor and her fearless approach to getting stuck in whatever the job. The unstoppable Grace aims to complete her basis and facts qualifications in 2021. Thanks to Heck Foods for supporting this category, and a huge congratulations to Grace.
Well, we're already midway through our first episode, and it's time for a bit of entertainment. This year, our editorial team have penned down what we like to call the A to Z of farming in 2020. Take a look, and hopefully you'll be able to relate to some of these.
A to Z of Farming 2020. A. All in a day's work. Farmers graft tirelessly through issues including turbulent weather, cash flow challenges, staff shortages, and supply chain problems to keep the nation fed. B. British food standards. The threat of a trade deal bringing a flood of cheap imports sees food standards demos from Save British Farming and the Land Workers Alliance, among others. Tractors parade through Westminster and SOS pumpkins light up Parliament Square. C. Community spirit. There's a surge in public support for farming as the pandemic underlines the value of agriculture and puts farm shops firmly on the map. D. Dreams. Kids let their imaginations run wild as they share their best day on the farm in Farmers Weekly lockdown writing competition. E. Extreme weather. An incredibly wet winter bogs down the season's drilling campaign and sees a big swing to spring crops, which are then hit by a damaging drought. F. Fundraising. Some community fundraising endeavours had to get a little more creative. Bring on the field-bound marathons, virtual welly relays, and online ploughing events. Join us tomorrow night as we pick up right where we left off.
Welcome back. We're straight back into the awards. And this award is for Arable Farm Advisor of the Year, sponsored by FMC Agro. From Inverurie, Aberdeenshire, Charlie Gatto is our first nominee. Keen crop walker, Charlie enjoys mixing the traditional aspects of agronomy with more modern approaches, helping his farm access new technology to boost their profitability and optimise efficiency while working hand in hand with the environment. And from Coventry, Warwickshire, we have Mark Dews. Dedicated agronomist, Mark has developed an innovative approach to his work, a risk and reward model, which means he shares the financial responsibility for the crops he looks after with his growers. Two great finalists, but which will be crowned Arable Farm Advisor of the Year? Over to Geoffrey Bustard from FMC Agro to tell us.
Thanks, Adam. In what's been a very challenging year, the agricultural sector has carried on working through, and FMC is passionate about rewarding individuals who support their growers in all aspects of crop production. Both of this year's finalists have shown that they are delivering an excellent service on farm in improving those farm businesses and making sure those businesses are on a firm footing both financially and environmentally. Therefore, I'm very pleased to announce that this year's Arable Advisor of the Year is Mark Dews.
Mark is keen to encourage growers to become more closely involved in their own agronomy. An ambassador for the sector, he is encouraging the more widespread adoption of integrated pest management and getting the best for farmers. Thank you to FMC Agro for sponsoring this category, and a big congratulations to Mark Dews.
Well done, Mark. Time for the final award of our episode, Arable Farmer of the Year, sponsored by KWS UK. And here are the finalists. From Sweepstone Fields Farm in Leicestershire, we have William Oliver. William is the fourth generation of his family, growing 800 hectares of arable cropping, including wheat, oilseed rape, spring beans, spring barley, potatoes and grain maize. He has successfully tackled a blackgrass problem, and he has reduced the cost of producing wheat from £135 per tonne to £85 per tonne. From Brewood Park Farm in the West Midlands, it's Tim Parton. Tim has adopted regenerative agriculture on the 300 hectares of arable cropping. By working with biology, has slashed his inputs of fuel, fertiliser, and hasn't used an insecticide for 5 years. The end result is that he can produce wheat for an impressive cost of £65 per tonne. And from Rooksnest Estate in Berkshire, we have Robert Price. Robert oversees 1,700 hectares of arable cropping, including winter wheat, barley, malting barley, blue peas, milling oats, linseed, oilseed rape, winter and spring beans and herbage. He's focused on adding value to crops, earning an impressive £120,000 in premiums. 3 great finalists. And over to Jasmine Hughes from KWS UK to tell us who has won Arable Farmer of the Year.
At KWS, it's our mission to bring the best varieties to market to support your mission of feeding the nation. We're proud once again to be supporting the Arable Farmer of the Year award. After a difficult year, farming has proven again and again that it is a vital part of our society. Arable farming in particular has faced many challenges over these past months, and we cannot commend you all enough for stepping up to these challenges on a daily basis. I'm now proud to announce that the winner of the Arable Farmer of the Year award is Robert Price. Congratulations, Robert.
Robert wowed the judges with his focus on adding value, and he is now reaping the rewards of adopting controlled traffic farming. He has also found the balance between commercial arable farming and environment management, with the aim of having a business ready for life without BPS payments by 2024. Thanks to KWS UK for sponsoring the Arable Farmer category, and congratulations to the winner, Robert Price.
Thank you for joining us for part 1 of the 2020 Farmers Weekly Awards. We've crowned our first 4 winners, and there are still lots to come. We also have a few surprises for you up our sleeves, so stay tuned for a look ahead at what to expect on the next episode. See you tomorrow night for episode 2.
Tomorrow night we pick up where we left off as we crown the 2020 Beef Farmer, Dairy Farmer, Contractor and Diversification Farmer of the Year. Carl Schneider speaks to Minette Batters, President of the NFU, about the challenges presented to farmers by the global pandemic and how they responded. And we carry on going through the alphabet by way of recapping 2020. So don't miss episode 2 of the 2020 Farmers Weekly Awards. Good night.
Sorry, got that wrong.
Sorry,
it's got a bit
going.
God. I have to go again. Sorry. Right. Are the hands moving too much? I always find like I do a bit of a Tony Blair sort of job. Okay.
Here we go. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Have you two got the giggles behind the camera? It's not helping.